I did not like Dead Island 2. Okay, so I know that needs like more information, but I really hated this game, and honestly, I almost didn't make this video. Now, I love the original Dead Island. In fact, I would say it's fair to call me a fanboy of the original Dead Island. It is not only one of my favorite games of all time, but it is also my favorite zombie game, and I love it so much. Now, I wasn't really a fan of Riptide, and maybe I will go into that like in a later video, but years later after Dead Island 1, they finally released Dead Island 2, where you are not on an island and the game's not fun. Okay, I'm going to be more serious, but like I didn't like this game. From the moment I started to the moment the game ended, I wasn't really having a lot of fun with it, and honestly, really the only reason I finished the game was because I wanted to make this video talking about it and comparing it to the original and just how the first Dead Island did it 10 times better. This game, in my opinion, always felt like it was trying to be a different game rather than being Dead Island, and it always felt off. Now, full on disclaimer, I will be comparing this game to the original throughout the entire video, so if you don't like that, well, I'm sorry, that's just what's gonna happen. So let's go ahead and get into Dead Island 2 and why I personally did not like it. So my first problems with this game, they show up basically immediately with how this game starts, which I think this game starts very badly. Now the intro of any game, it can be important, especially depending on what the game is. Like, there's some games that I feel like starting off quickly is a good thing, while there are other games that I think benefit from having a slow intro. A game like Dead Island, where you are going into a world that is destroyed by zombies, where society no longer functions, and the entire game is basically about seeing how society and how people react to the zombie apocalypse. It shouldn't go by very quickly. It should be slow. It should give the player time to sink in what they are about to get into. The original Dead Island had the perfect intro, for like in my opinion, that not only introduced the game perfectly, but I think just set everything in motion for just how great that game was. So I want to talk about that game's intro before I talk about Dead Island's 2. So the first thing I want to talk about is how Dead Island starts with showing you a cutscene before you even get to the main menu. And this is easily the best intro out of any zombie game, with Sam B singing Who Do You Voodoo, while everyone else is partying and having a loads of fun. However, this intro also shows and tells us certain things about the island that we are on, and also we get to know a little about the four main characters we play as. So the first character we see in this intro is Logan, and we learn that he's a football player by him saying,
Scared of nobody. You know who I am. Give any idea who you're fucking talking to. Or maybe you saw me in the playoffs. I played for the fucking goddamn champions.
This also makes the fact that he is an expert at throwing stuff because he was a football player. Like but of course he would be the expert at throwing weapons. So it makes sense. Next, we see Sam B, who is rapping on stage, and this shows us that Sam B is, and with everyone dancing, we can imagine that Sam B is pretty popular. However, we will find out later it was only because of this song. The next character we see is Perna, who starts pushing the character, and we see, like, seeing through out of the way, and could be trying to get him to leave, basically acting like security. However, she isn't dressed like one, and we learn that she was a cop, but then was fired after a incident happened. And she calls the person out for acting like they are better than everyone else before kneeing him for being very touchy. Now, the last character is honestly the one where we probably get the least amount of knowledge from this intro. But we see Xion trying to help a woman laying on the ground, giving off the idea that Xion is someone that is always willing to help and lend a hand, and we even find out through her backstory that she's actually an undercover agent. So the intro tells us, like, about this, and kind of it gives small details about each of the characters we could play as. However, it also tells us a little about the island and about this game that the game is set on. Everyone is partying. We see Logan is drunk. The character we are looking throughout this like opening cutscene is drunk. People are partying. People are dancing, drinking a lot of alcohol, probably doing some drugs too. And with people like Logan and Sam B, we can determine that this is a place for wealthy people and popular people to hang out and party. However, it doesn't end there because once we actually start playing the game, the intro becomes even better. So whoever we pick to play as, we wake up in a hotel room completely hungover from all the partying and drinking last night, and we hear some screaming. You walk out of your room and there's no one else there. You see the door of the hotel room next to you open. When you go in, you see a couple laying on the ground dead. Now that is very startling, but you're still hungover from last night. So maybe you're seeing things. Maybe you took some pills that fucked you up so badly. So it's probably not real. You have to go through some hotel rooms where you see their suitcases are open, clothes are all over the place. You find that the stairs are blocked, so you start heading towards the elevators, and that when two zombies fall from the sky. You decide to go into the elevator then after seeing two zombies falling down to the ground, and then the elevator just starts collapsing, and when it stops, you try and get up, you see two people, but before anything could happen, the elevator falls one more time, and then you hear your first human voice in the game. He tells you that you need to get a weapon, and then you come across your first zombies with the infected, and you have to turn around and sprint as fast as you can to get away from them. You get away safely, but then you get surprise attacked by a zombie before you're saved by a lifeguard. You will then wake up later with a doctor holding a bat about to bash your head in, and after you get up, you decide to help the lifeguard, who is named Cinemoy, and this is your first actual introduction to zombies and to combat, and then after you help Cinemoy, then the game actually starts. This is honestly just the perfect intro for a game like Dead Island. It's haunting, it's unsettling, it slowly builds up the reveal of the zombies, and it's building up just how messed up the world has become. Now, I know I've spent this entire time talking about Dead Island, but I love this intro so much, and it just does so much right, but it doesn't shove things in your face to tell you that this thing is important. Instead, the detail is just there for you to notice if you pay attention. Dead Island 2 doesn't really do this. Instead, what it does is shows us each character like how the first one did. However, it doesn't add anything. There aren't really any hidden details that tell you something about these characters. At most, you see one of them is afraid and then pretends to be a firefighter, only for a bus next to the character to catch on fire somehow when a zombie attacks the passengers. Then every character gets on a plane only for it to catch fire and crash because a zombie was on board. Again, it doesn't explain how both the bus or the plane got on fire. They just catch on fire. You then pick your character and then wake up from the plane crash and you heal yourself. And then once you get out, you meet some survivors and then zombies show up and you instantly have to fight them. And this is your introduction to combat and to zombies in this game. You fight them for a while, and then your character gets bit, and you make your way to one of the survivors named Emma's house. The game also shows you LA before you get to the menu screen, which I guess is trying to make it look destroyed and be like, hey, this is what LA looks like during the zombie apocalypse. But honestly, honestly, in my opinion, LA looked worse in real life during the riots that happened during COVID, and compared to how it looks in this game. I don't know, just ignore that. It's just a very disappointing intro that honestly didn't make me feel anything. It didn't want me to see more of the game. It was just kind of boring. But enough talk about that. What about the gameplay? Because the gameplay could make up for how bad the intro was, but it doesn't. The gameplay of this game is so boring that I honestly felt myself kind of going to sleep because I was just bored of it. I was not having fun. You seem slow whenever you're swinging your weapons, and your weapons also seem weaker as well, even when you upgrade them. Now, probably the biggest thing about the gameplay in this game is the fact that they got rid of the stamina management that was in the first game. Now, I do not like this because that was a big part of Dead Island. In the original Dead Island, basically everything you did used up stamina. If you swing your weapon, if you started running, if you jumped, if you kicked something, that would use stamina, and so on and so on. Everything you did cost stamina, and it gave a sense of skill management, and you had to use it wisely. You couldn't just spam attacks. You can't just run in and start swinging until everyone was dead, because you would use all your stamina, and then once you run out, you couldn't fight back, and zombies could easily knock you down. But there was also weapons that use a lot of stamina, like sledgehammers, that could leave you open very easily. There was a risk slash reward system when it came to combat and gameplay. And this honestly added to the enjoyment of the original Dead Island. Dead Island 2 got rid of this, and instead stamina is really only used for special moves like drop kicking or ground pounding, which kind of ruined the whole point of having a stamina meter. Heavy weapons especially were kind of ruined because in Dead Island 1, heavy weapons like sledgehammers, they used a lot of stamina and would leave you open, but they did a lot of damage and could hit loads of zombies as well. So it was a nice risk slash reward system, and it made it easier. If you played as Sam B, who's a heavy weapons specialist, you will use less stamina as him compared to the other characters you could play as. But also, I don't really like having the ability to ground pound and create shockwaves, because to me, that's not what Dead Island was. And what I mean by this is, to me, Dead Island was always a game about normal characters, normal people surviving the zombie apocalypse. Really, the only thing wasn't normal about them was the fact that they were immune to the zombie virus. They were normal people. They didn't have crazy abilities or anything. The only thing special about them was that they were immune. But really nothing else about them was really special. But in Dead Island 2, for some reason, your characters like the Hulk and can shake the ground by slamming their hands down on the ground. Now, I know people point out that in Dead Island 1 you had Fury, but that was nothing like this because the characters didn't do something crazy during Fury. Honestly, Fury in Dead Island 1, it basically just showed. It was just a gameplay function for when you got enough kills, when you got enough zombie kills. But it was also just, it showed the character's it showed what the characters were best at and what the specialities were. Logan is a throwing expert, so he throws knives. Perna pulls out a revolver because she's a gun expert. Xian can move a lot faster and is able to slice zombies down quickly because she's really good with sharp weapons. And Sam B is heavy weapons specialist, so he gets brass knuckles and he can punch zombies really hard. Fury doesn't go for anything crazy. Instead, it just works with what the characters are best at, and basically what their skills are when you choose a character. But it still makes sense and makes these characters still normal people. It's not anything crazy. Meanwhile, being able to ground pound makes your character like some kind of superhero, which that isn't what your character is in Dead Island. That's not what your character is supposed to be like. So since I mentioned it in Dead Island 1, you also have a lot of perks you can choose from. You have 3 skill trees, and each perk will either let you be better at combat, surviving, or Fury. Each time you level up and choose a perk, you feel more powerful, and it made you feel good. It felt like you actually made progress with each level up. Dead Island 1 was honestly kind of like an RPG in a sense, just because how much side quests there were to do, and all the things you could pick up for crafting, and the perks and the skill trees. Dead Island 2, on the other hand, doesn't feel like that. They got rid of the skill trees, and now you have perk cards, but unlike the perk cards in Fallout 76, these perk cards are just awful. You don't get them every level, but they also don't make you feel more powerful. They are honestly just there, in my opinion. The crafting system returns in this game, but I feel like it's downgraded from how it used to be. In Dead Island 1, the crafting and upgrading system was very good. You could repair your weapons or upgrade them so they can do more damage, but you can also craft new weapons by using the mods that you find throughout the game. So if you have a machete and some wires and a battery, then you can make a shock machete, or you can even make a bleeding baseball bat. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun creating these weapons, and they added to the fun in the game. It made me actually want to use the crafting table. Dead Island 2 isn't that way. Instead, there are less things for you to craft, and you can't really upgrade your weapons so they do more damage or won't break as easily. Even the mods you add to the weapons, they don't seem like you do more damage against zombies, and it doesn't really seem like they do anything. Also, your weapons in this game, they break super quickly. Now in Dead Island 1, they broke very quickly as well if you use a weapon too much, but the more you upgraded it, the longer it lasted. It lasted a little bit longer if you upgraded it all the way. And but not only that, the more you upgraded it, the more damage it did as well. This isn't the case with this game. I would pick up or craft a weapon only for it to break, honestly, almost immediately after a few swings against some zombies, making me just have to use my fist. However, there's less stuff for you to pick up and craft as well. And Dead Island, you could pick up a lot of stuff that you can use to either create weapons or just sell. Like, seriously, look how much stuff I have. However, in Dead Island 2, it seems like there are less things for you to grab that you can either use for crafting or sell them for money. So, like, honestly, most of the time I didn't even really bother looking around because there wasn't that much stuff to really pick up. So, since I'm talking about the gameplay, I might as well talk about the zombies in this game. So, you have your basic walker zombies that it's just like your normal zombie that shuffles their way towards you. The infected are back, but now they're called runners, which I don't really know why they just couldn't call them the infected. It honestly worked, but the runners don't do the scream that the infected do in the original Dead Island to let you know that they are there. Suiciders come back, but they are now called Brusters, which I don't know why they changed the names of both the infected and the Suiciders. I just don't like it. Now, one of the new zombies that was introduced in this game are the Crushers, and they are basically they are basically bodybuilders, but zombies. And I hate these guys. I hate these kind of zombies so much. They replaced the thug from the original Dead Island, but they just suck. The thugs in Dead Island 1, they were powerful zombies that could take you out pretty easily. They did a lot of damage and they could knock you down anytime they hit you. However, they moved very slowly, and if you time it right, you could defeat them without getting hit. The thugs were great enemies not only for that, but they were used kind of sparingly in the original Dead Island. You would still fight them a lot, but you wouldn't like just come across them all the time like the Crushers in this game. And most of the time, it's most of the time when you run into them, it's when a quest brings you to a certain spot, and the quest is mostly labeled as hard or very hard. Crushers, however, you will find them just all over the place, or they will just randomly spawn behind you, and they do massive damage. They are hard to dodge, and they don't get stunned at all by your attack, so they can very quickly attack you back. At most, after they run out of stamina, they will fall to their knees, and then you have an opening to hit them and take them out. But again, with how weak your weapons feel, you probably won't be able to take them out, and you'll just decide to run past them. Which, honestly, by the second or third time they showed up, I stopped fighting them and I just ran for it. You also have the butchers coming back from the original Dead Island, but two different forms this time with the normal butcher and the vicious butcher. Now the butchers are like the runners, but they have blades for hand and they are faster and they can do a lot of damage. There's also the mutators that do a ton of damage and they don't really have any weaknesses, and slobbers who basically shoot poison acid at you. Honestly, even with the different kind of zombies in this game, they just aren't fun to fight. There are also many boss fights in this game, which are basically just they are just introductions to a new type of variant. But then, but they have a actual name, like a person's name, and they do more damage. They do a little, they take a little bit more damage, and they just aren't fun. And I wish they weren't in the game. Then I do also. This is my biggest issue with this game. It tries to be funny. Like it feels like this game is trying to force humor and force jokes on you and make up for just how dark and depressing the original game was. But the game feels like it's also just trying to be like the MCU where everything has to be a joke. Because fuck you if you want this game to be taken seriously, and you don't want a joke every 5 seconds. Well, too bad. We're gonna have a joke every 5 seconds because your short attention span, like we don't want your short attention span leaving the game. Like honestly, if anything made me not want to play this game anymore, if anything made me not want to play this game anymore, it was the dialogue. Like the gameplay, it was boring. I didn't like it, but if the dialogue was better, I could probably just have kept playing the first time. But the dialogue really just turned me off from this game. Like, where every line it has to be a joke. Every line the characters act like the zombie apocalypse is basically just another Tuesday for them. there was honestly one moment that made me honestly laugh, and that was a whiteboard that it had a like it had an apology script on it that clearly pointing out just how fake apology videos are on YouTube, and that was the only joke that really made me laugh. And I think it's simply because it wasn't forced like every other joke in this game. Like, instead, it's there in the world and you have to find it. And if you don't take the time to look around, you could miss it. So I think that's what I loved about that joke. Even though, it is kind of hard to miss it. But I think what I loved about it wasn't shoved in my face. It was just kind of there. And if the comedy was like that in throughout the rest of the game, where it wasn't shoved in your face and it was kind of hidden a little bit, I think I wouldn't have that much of an issue with it. But instead, it feels like the game is shaking you, telling you you should be laughing now. Like seriously, I don't think someone during a zombie apocalypse would be like this.
Into Styles, LA's top trending girl in the juicy flesh. But, oh fuck! You didn't see my video? Thought I'd upload it for sure this time.
I got so sick and tired of listening to this game to the point I stopped listening to the cutscenes and just characters because like the dialogue, I just did not like the dialogue at all, and no game should make that happen. But it's not only the dialogue that is just awful. The characters as well are just awful. Now the characters in the original Dead Island, they weren't anything special. They were basically just there most of the time just so they could give you quests. However, they added to the sorrow of the apocalypse. The characters in this game, honestly, they are kind of boring and lame. Even fake Sam B over here. Now, I don't care what you say, this isn't Sam B. In my opinion, this is a fake version of him pretending to be Sam B, but this isn't Sam B. This is Sam B.
That asshole just said the exact same thing those motherfuckers at the police station did.
Things go to shit, and it's every fuckwit for himself.
300 families. The flushest motherfuckers in the city. It's just like New Orleans. As long as they got theirs, who gives a shit if the ghetto burns?
Especially with the church in the city, which honestly I have hold off on talking about the world. It's time to finally talk about it. So throughout Dead Island 2, you are in LA, or my bad, Hell A, which it's just that's just a dumb way of saying LA. So, a game called Dead Island, it is actually set, this game isn't actually set on an island. Instead, it's just in California. Honestly, that ruins a part of Dead Island, because, Dead Island is supposed to be on, an island. In the original Dead Island, it felt like this infection was honestly only happening on this island. At the end of the original Dead Island, you hear a radio station talking about how they don't have any news about what's going on, like on the island of Benoi. Like they are getting their information from a different like I think from an Australian government or something. But like on the island of Benoi, no one really knows what's happening. All they know is that the island itself is quarantined. This is honestly kind of an issue I had with Riptide as well. Like it treats the infection as if it's all over the world when it never was. In fact, it was just on one island and the rest of the world knew nothing about it. They were still going on like everything was normal. However, moving away from the fact that this game isn't on an island, what about LA? How is it? How is it exploring the city? It's boring. It's boring and it just feels empty. Like seriously, they couldn't make the world fun to explore. Instead, they have roads blocking the way, so it feels very small. There's nothing to even find in many homes or buildings that you can even go into. And the city honestly doesn't even look that bad, honestly. It honestly looks like what they did, like what The Walking Dead did with Atlanta, and just threw some trash on the ground and be like, okay, that's enough. Like, that's clearly showing the sign that this city is destroyed, but it's like, dude, the city itself doesn't look bad when you're exploring it. Like the city of LA doesn't feel like a dangerous place that I should be worried about, like going out every time when I leave, when I leave the base in the game. In fact, this version of LA looks better than how LA looks now in real life. And this is supposed to be a zombie apocalypse. Not only does it feel small, but it feels like there are constant roadblocks that stop you from exploring, or you have to go through a loading zone to reach another part of the city, which also just, it feels very small. the areas in the original Dead Island, they were huge. They had a ton of space to explore. It wasn't full on open world, but it was semi open world. Whether it be the resort, the city, or the jungle, it was huge and it felt huge and it felt unsafe as well. Really, the only place that isn't that big is a prison at the end of the game, but even then, it's still fun to explore and go through. It also doesn't help that I mentioned this earlier. LA just feels empty. It feels kind of empty. So many times as I was playing through this game, it felt like there was really no zombies around until they just spawned in right behind me to remind me, oh yeah, hey, look, there's zombies here. It made the world just feel boring and empty, but it didn't make it. It also didn't make the world feel unsafe. It just made the world be like I would just be walking around being like, okay, like it doesn't feel unsafe. It just feels like no one's there. In the original Dead Island, everywhere felt unsafe, other than your safe houses. It also helped that your safe houses were the only places that played music, letting you know that that was a safe area. That when you were in there, no zombie could get you. Also, I find it weird that you can't drive any cars in this game. In Dead Island 1, there was a lot of cars on basically every level that you could drive, and they were fun to drive. They not only were a quick way to travel around the areas, but they also provided you protection against zombies as long as you were driving a car, and you wouldn't have to worry about fighting any zombies because you could drive right past them or, just frankly, run them over. There was another thing that made the city feel dangerous was the fact that you couldn't really use the cars. Now, yes, you could still drive around the city, but it's much more difficult to get around because how destroyed the city is. But but also because this visor is down blocking your view, but this made you instead rather walk throughout the city while you explored, and that made you have to fight zombies. That made zombies come up to you and attack you without you realizing. It made it feel so much more dangerous, which I have brought up the city many times, so I might as well talk about that and why the city in the original Dead Island is so much better than LA and Dead Island 2. So you can't even enter the city at first because it's blocked off by rubble. However, once you enter, this is the first thing that you are shown once you enter the city. Yeah, so once you enter the city, immediately you have the church bells ringing and zombies attacking the church, and we're introduced to a new zombie type. After we take him out and go inside the church, Mother Helen tells us about someone who was bit and then locked himself inside and started ringing the bells. So you go and deal with him, and then it goes from this very intense moment, intense music, to immediately very sad. To very sad and somber music.
Thank you. You saved us. Those demons nearly pushed their way into the church. And Frank, his soul was lost to the beast.
Yeah.
People are crying in the church. Some people are praying. Many have straight up given up hope and they ask you for help because there's nothing they can do. However, that's not the end of it. A lot of the side quests in the city are you helping putting up posters so a man's family will know that he's okay. However, they are most likely dead themselves. One quest you have to go and kill a guy's wife and daughter who turned. Another you have to get a picture from some looters for a guy who just wants a picture of his little girl so he doesn't forget her face during everything that is going on. And you even help turn on speakers to play a message telling people to go to church. You can go to the church for shelter. However, this kind of brings up the idea that this might attract some looters as well and cause some damage to the church and the people at the church. But that's another thing. The city is the first time you will fight human enemies who they have guns, and it gives off this idea that these people are just like you. They're trying to survive. They are forming their own group. They are trying to get supplies to live. It's people just doing the best they can. You even go to the rich part of the city and you realize it's just as bad. And the rich, they don't give a crap about anyone but themselves, and they refuse to get you supplies. The city in Dead Island 1 is sad and depressing wherever you go. However, it is also very dangerous. You are introduced to a new zombie type and you'll come across them a lot. And there are certain parts of the city that are just filled with affected, that I personally like to call it infected boulevard, which like is the quarantine area, and affected just rush you. They rush you the whole time you're there, and it really gives off this message of you don't want to be in this part of the city. This is the very bad part of the city. You should leave as fast as possible. The entire city feels unsafe, and the fact that you basically have to walk through it rather than drive, it makes you feel unsafe every time you leave your base. But also, the city is very destroyed as well. Dead Island 2, on the other hand, LA does not feel like this. The city feels empty. There aren't many people who are freaking out and are losing hope because of the zombies. We don't see the idea of different groups looking out for themselves. In fact, there's an entire game, you don't even fight any human enemies. Honestly, there was only one spot that even looked like it was destroyed, and that was this one spot, and that's it. LA also doesn't really feel unsafe when you leave your base, because there's not really any zombies out there until they just spawn in right behind you or sometimes right in front of you. And I know in Dead Island, the zombies were in certain spots and it felt very scripted, but it felt alive. Like, the entire island felt alive. It felt like, zombies were moving around the island, that people were trying to survive even when you weren't in that certain area. It felt alive. Dead Island 2, however, LA feels dead. It feels dead and empty, like the zombies don't even exist, until the game remembers that this is supposed to be a zombie game and just spawns them in. So I've held off on talking about the story for long enough, so let's go ahead and finally talk about it. So the story starts with your characters getting on a plane and then it crashes because a zombie got on board. You then pick your character. I chose Jacob because Jacob looked the coolest. And then you wake up with a piece of the plane in you and you make your way to a medkit, heal yourself, and then once you get out, you find some survivors. You fend off zombies, and then you go into LA and you make your way to Emma's house. You reach Emma's house and Michael, her manager, I think gets terrified and faints after learning you got bit, and you pass out as well, only to wake up later with Emma watching you with a gun pointed at you. After a little bit, you go outside and help defend the house against zombies and close the gate, and then afterwards you talk with Emma and Michael when all of a sudden fake Sam B shows up. And yes, I will keep calling him that because I refuse to say that this is the real Sam B. You find out that you're immune, and after talking with Emma, you decide to go tell the authorities that you're immune and go to Helper Inn Hotel where the army is supposed to be, and you find out that the army is all dead other than one soldier on the third floor, and we make our way there. However, we arrive too late and get the key and reach a room that has a radio that has a member of the CDC on the other end. You are interrupted by a zombie bride and have to fight it for a boss battle. You then go back to Emma's house, and after telling Emma the plan, you realize Michael is missing. You go to the movie studio, then fight another boss in order to save him, and then fake Sam B calls you about stealing some guns, which honestly, in LA, good luck trying to find any guns. So you go and meet up with Sam B, and after breaking down a door with some zombies, spawn right behind you, because that's all they do in this game, and you come across another boss fight where Ronnie is killed, which I didn't even feel anything for this character because there was nothing to his character. Hell, I even forgot his name while writing the script. I had to honestly look it up. So you go talk to Sam B and you get your first gun in the game, and you then have to shoot loads of zombies because, that's a totally useful thing to do with ammo. Like, yeah, you could use guns against zombies in Dead Island 1, and you would normally have loads of ammo, but guns weren't really useful against zombies. They worked better on human enemies, so it worked, and it gave the guns some purpose. Meanwhile, this game, there's really no point in using the guns. Either way, back to the story of Dead Island 2. So after shooting up a lot of zombies, you tell Sam B about the CDC and tells you that it's a bad idea and it won't work. You then decide to go back to Emma and tell her the news, but you find out that Michael got bit and he dies, and then you shoot him, causing Emma to kick you out, which is it's like, bitch, you literally insulted this man throughout this entire game. Like, seriously, why are you suddenly sad that he's dead? Like, throughout the entire game, you've been making fun of him. But whatever, now he's dead, and Sam B tells us to use the sewers in order to get to Santa Monica, which honestly, I really hate what they did to Sam B in this game. Like, it feels like they made Sam B into a giant asshole and just made him seem like a bad guy so many times. Like, how dare this game do this to my boy Sam B? Either way, we go down to the sewers and make our way to Santa Monica. We meet a guy named Patton in the sewers, and he honestly doesn't really add anything other than just be a crazy guy who lives in the sewers who really likes one movie. So you go through the sewers and run through a pot filled with red meat all over the place, and you come across some random people that knock you off a bridge, and then all of a sudden you act like a zombie. So wait, are you immune or not? What the hell is going on? Well, this is actually Fury in this game. And no, not the Fury from the first game, because in this one, Fury is letting your inner zombie come out, and you basically fight like a zombie and basically turn into a zombie. That is not what Fury is. I know I'm getting sidetracked, but Fury is not you having a special superpower where you let your zombie side out, because that makes no sense. Literally, Fury is just having... But mainly, one, it's just a gameplay function. But two, it's literally just being more powerful, having more speed to your movements, and being able to be more precise with your attacks than you were previously. In the original Dead Island, it also showed, the specialties of the characters, like Logan, Perna, Sam B, and Xion. Fury is not some superpower where you become a half zombie and start tearing zombies apart with your bare hands. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get back to the story. So you make it to Venice Beach and you help some people in the Blue Crab, and it basically becomes your new base after one of them gets his head crushed. So you decide to help the people in the Blue Crab so you can get to the Sterling Hotel where the CDC is. Now, Venice Beach is honestly... It might be one of my favorite areas in this game. It's not my favorite. I feel like it feels a little like the resort level in the original Dead Island. And it feels more open compared to every other location in this game, even though it's still pretty small. But I actually liked Venice Beach. I thought it was fun to explore. But honestly, was this supposed to be fun?
Dylan does look small. Okay. AJ, loosen up. Roll with me. Whoa! Cue special effects and action! Oh, nice! Cameras rolling. Get into the zone. Oi! Dylan! Welcome to my day job.
Either way, you have another boss fight with Dylan, who's just a crusher but is on fire, and it's not a good boss battle. But after you defeat him, you return to Alex in the Blue Crab. Alex tells you how to get into the Sterling Hotel, and you head over to the military base on the beach, and you have to stop the lockdown so you get through, which so much of this game is honestly either turning the power back on or getting around a locked door. You either have, and in this section, you even have to look for dog tags and bags in order to find one that belongs to Hick. It's just boring, it's not fun, and it just slows the game down. But you go and make it through, and you have to fight through a quarantine corridor and the gauntlet where there are a lot of zombies. And seriously, this must have been why the entire game and the entire world felt empty, because all the zombies were actually in this one area. And seriously, fuck this area. I hate this whole thing so much. There are so much zombies, they just overwhelm you, and whenever you die, you have to start it all the way at the beginning, and you have to fight through it all over again. Fuck this area. So after you finally get through, then you can enter the Sterling Hotel and meet the CDC.
An enchanting company.
Oh, you are, huh? You're not here to eat us then?
There isn't enough ketchup in the world.
Comedian, huh? They look human to you.
So.
Well, okay then. Humans can be redeemed. Don't need to waste a bullet on this one. Hey, keep up the good work, Denise. Hey, I'm Dr. Reed, but you can call me Ruben. Let's talk in my office.
We spoke on the radio about the vaccine.
Hey, shh. Walk with me. I'm glad you made it. Really glad, but we gotta keep your specialness on the down low. If you really are what we've been looking for, then CDC is gonna want to talk to you. So,
Doctor, he doesn't want to take his shot.
hey, Luther. Hey, don't worry. It's just gonna pinch a bit. Let's keep walking. Where was I?
CDC's going to...
CDC. Right. The CDC is gonna. Hey! I told you to stay off that foot. You want me to cut it off? Come on. Hey, come this way, huh? Now. So glad you're here. Now they're gonna send a chapter to pick you up and take you to Colorado. Just you. So, I don't want my people here getting hope when they got none. You understand?
None? I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, we'll be okay. Fall over 9 times and you get up 10. That's what I always say. But you got a miracle in your blood. If we can get you to Colorado, humanity has a chance.
Okay, so you call a chopper, or?
Well, I need to let them know you're here first, and then
We're out of food. We need to sweep those apartments before someone else cleans them
No,
out.
Tisha, we gotta put that on hold. This person here is our new priority.
Hey, Jacob.
They're more important than people starving?
Yeah, look, kind of. I can't really talk about it right now, but...
That's fine. Look, you stay here. I'm gonna go with these guys. We'll be back soon.
Hey, you do not go outside without me. They can handle it.
Hey, Doc, you know we ran out of food. What's the plan?
Dad, I am not a little girl anymore. I have to do my share.
Yeah, obviously you've lost your mind. There are terrorists out
just
there
let her
that
go,
you...
Doc. She wants to be part of the team.
Jimmy, I am talking to my daughter.
I'm
okay?
sick of talking. Jimmy's right. I need to do something.
After all that's happened, you think I'm gonna let you out of my sight?
Oh,
I'm gonna let you turn into one of them like your mother?
Oh, no.
Tisha, I'm sorry, but I can't lose you two.
You're right, Dad. I shouldn't put this on you. It's not fair.
Well, okay then. Come on.
See you later.
Yeah. Yeah, this is no place for human beings.
Hey, Doc, a word of advice. You want to stay top dog? You let your daughter take her chances just like everyone else.
Jimmy, I have got enough things to be focusing on without your bullshit.
Sure. Yeah. I'm gonna go for a smoke.
Yeah, you do that.
Fuck you looking at?
Don't make me say it, chum.
Like, I need to radio CDC, but I don't want to draw too much attention to you, so... Look, you make yourself at home, and I should have some good news soon. Okay?
I'm knackered.
Oh, never mind. You actually meet with survivors who only one of them worked for the CDC, but you decide to help them and go look for the janitor named Bob. However, when you find him, you see that he's dead and became a zombie. So after you turn the water back on and you return to talk to Dr. Weeds.
Hey, Rubes.
Hey, there you go. Now keep the eyes shut. 12 hours, no light, okay?
Good news, I hope.
Not really. The CDC isn't calling the shots anymore. The military have taken command, and they won't extract you until they have proof of your immunity.
Control freaks.
They're just so paranoid about the virus escaping from LA. They know they can't contain it if it gets out.
So you kill me, and if I stay dead, we're golden?
Nothing quite so crude as that. But we have to test you. But my equipment is at the CDC HQ by Santa Monica Pier.
Sound trumpets and let our bloody colors wave. Righto.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think you should go alone.
Hey, I thought that we were like cat ghosts. Fall down 9 times? Get up 10? Right?
Right.
Well, this cat will be right back.
So now, since the military is in charge and not the CDC, you have to go to Dr. Reed's old lab at the CDC HQ. So you get to the CDC HQ and you see that they are all dead, and you have to fight your way to the inside of the main dome. You have to turn the power back on so you can get a sample of your blood, because that's like half of this game is turning the power back on. So you have to find a security code for the machine, and you have to do the same boring thing you did on the army base, but instead look at dead doctors this time, So you get the sample and start going towards the hotel, but Dr. Reed needs you to get some equipment first so he can do his job. So you have to go get a blood drive so that way, and you arrive in Santa Monica, which I know it's night right now, but man, this beach feels pretty empty and doesn't look that destroyed. Okay, I'll stop doing that now. I know that's annoying. So you get to where the blood drive is supposed to be, but it's not there, and you have to go looking for a Dr. Al Bundy so you can get the blood drive back. You find a recording telling you that Bundy had a panic attack after being told that he needed to unlock the quarantine area of the pyre, and he has just locked, and that he just locked up because Dr. Reed needs to get in there. So you go back out and look for him. You find that he turned into one of the acid-spitting zombies. I forgot the name of it, and frankly, I don't care enough to look it up. And we unlock the pyre gates. You make your way to the end of the pier, but you have to go around because the bridge is broke. You have to fight a lot of zombies in front of the Ferris wheel, and after they are all dead, then you shut the Ferris wheel off and you can continue going for the blood drive. So once you find the blood drive, you have to fight off a zombie clown boss, which honestly, the game did a great job introducing this boss, and it would have worked. It would have worked so perfectly if it wasn't for the dialogue Jacob was saying throughout the whole thing. However, I will say, this was actually a good boss fight. This was honestly the one boss fight I actually really did like. It was a pretty hard boss fight, and you had to be more careful than the previous fights. The boss even heals himself from eating corpses around the pyre, and it reminded me of one of the psychopath boss battles from Dead Rising. It was a lot of fun. Like, I really did love this boss fight. However, it's a shame that this isn't just a one-time boss enemy. Instead, it's just an introduction to the new zombie type that you will fight throughout the rest of the game, like basically all the bosses are in this game. So you get washed up onto the beach, and then you have to go and deliver the blood drive to Dr. Reed back at a hotel, along with the blood sample you got.
Rough night, huh? Thought I was gonna have to send out a search party.
Lola, be reasonable.
I'm back.
Hey.
You?
What? Hey, let me see. Last.
Don't be rude, Reuben.
You should rest.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Sit down. Reuben and I were just reminiscing.
Nice. Do continue.
Conrad and I did some research together.
Reuben, it was a little more than that. I was his oracle, his Pythia. So, how have you been? You look different.
You tried to kill me.
Is that what I did?
Conrad?
Or did I do something else?
Lola, you promised you wouldn't interfere.
No, Reuben, we promised that we wouldn't interfere. You've already galloped across that Rubicon.
There is too much at
Hey,
stake.
Doc, where the fuck?
Oh.
Wait, who the fuck?
Hey, not now, Jimmy.
No, we fucking agreed. The whole group gets a say on newcomers.
Don't worry, Mr.
Montana. Jimmy Montana? Yeah, you probably see me on TV.
Fabulous. Mr. Montana. Well, I was just about to leave anyway. But I must just drop in on Tisha before I go.
You can't see her.
Oh, Reuben.
Yeah, well, no one gets to see her.
What?
She ain't here.
What do you mean?
Well, she went out looking for food with a little gang of hers. They're overdue.
I always told you, Reuben. The tighter the leash, the harder they pull.
Get out!
I'll see you down the line. Later, Jimmy.
Why'd you let her go?
Hey, she ain't my kid.
Oh,
if I was in
Jimmy,
charge...
Listen.
Yeah, fucking whatever!
Tisha, all right?
Look, Groups, there's something in me.
Oh, please. I need her back safe, all right? Now, look, it's gonna take time to analyze your blood to get answers, all right? Now, Tisha doesn't have time, all right?
Tisha doesn't have time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
So you find out that Tasha, the daughter of Dr. Reed, is gone, and that the lady that almost killed you knows Dr. Reed as well, and something is going on with Jacob as well that frankly is making me think that he isn't immune, because this shit never happened with Sam B and the other characters from the original Dead Island. So you get to Tasha and find out that this mysterious lady with white hair is actually her aunt, and you decide to go and look for her at the OSK store, which, by the way, I found this line to be funny because Jacob has been acting this way the entire game to me. To me, this is how Jacob has been acting, so I thought this line was actually kind of funny. So you get to the OSK store and you have to find a code to restart the power, so you can say the code word, and once you do...
Computer, 12 Sambuca Karaoke Queens.
Eschaton. Noun. Theological. The end of the world. The end times. The final event in the divine plan. From the Greek root meaning last.
Hello, computer. That was shit. I'm looking for Lola Conrad.
Hey, I'm Dr. Reed, but you can call me Ruben. Noah, they told me there's something in my blood that... Yeah, shh. Let's keep your specialness just between us for now, okay? Okay, sure. But it's about a cure? If our preliminary results are right, then you have a miracle in your blood. Now that we've found you, humanity stands a chance. Cool. So, what happens to me? You just take some blood, or...? We need to get you to our lab on Ocean Avenue. We have the equipment there, and answers to all your questions, I promise. Okay, you're the doctor.
So, I'm not the first. And Rubes hasn't exactly been straight with me. What happened to this other guy?
Zephron, it didn't work. The levels spiked again. Fried the whole rig.
Nah, not ideal. And our friend Noah?
We need a new candidate.
We haven't found anyone else.
There has to be someone! You know what's at stake! Keep looking!
I need to find this lab on Ocean Avenue. That's where the answers will be.
So now you have to find a secret lab just by using a picture that was sent to you, and I have to be honest. I actually started enjoying the game at this part. But at this part of the game, I actually started enjoying this game. Now, it could be because I was approaching the end of the game, but honestly, from the moment I fought that clown boss, this game started being pretty fun. The area of Ocean Avenue is actually a very fun place to explore. My weapons felt like they actually did some damage. It even had a pretty fun side quest called Scooped. Now, I haven't talked about the side quests in this game, and that's mainly because I didn't really do any of them, other than like the first two that show up, and I think these were awful introductions to the side quest in this game. If the first side quest in this game was like Scooped, then I probably would have done more of them. But the first two side quests are basically hold your ground segments while the survivor you're trying to save is just making jokes, and acting like this is just another normal thing that happens every day. Then you have to either sit there and wait while one character slowly comes down the stairs and then slowly goes to his chair, or you have to do some things for someone's video someone's videos will look better. Like, seriously, this one actually annoyed me because I felt like this side quest was made by an old person who was like, well, you know how kids nowadays are always on their phones and doing TikTok and YouTubes, so let's just have a side quest around that. So yeah, I didn't think the first two side quests in this game were good, but once Scooped, once I played Scooped, I really liked it. Like, it started with you having to find your way inside the building, and once you get in, you see that everyone else is dead. And that, they tried to keep telling the news until help arrived, but no one was actually getting their broadcast. The two survivors that you do find, they are pretty frightened and scared about something being in the basement, and Jacob actually doesn't crack a joke, but takes it very seriously, which I really like. Even had a moment that made me jump because I wasn't expecting it. This side quest even reminded me of a part of the original Dead Island where you had to reset a server. And you even have to rush back to the conference room, and this whole moment is just a perfect introduction to having a butcher show up. And honestly, if the rest of the game was like this side quest, I would have liked this game a lot more, because this side quest was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. So getting back to the main story, you have to find a secret lab by only using a picture, and I like this because it gives you a reason to explore Ocean Avenue, and felt kind of like a quest from the original Dead Island. But you find it and you enter the lab.
Is catabasis. K-A-T.
That must be Noah. Fried Noah. Whatever they were trying, it killed him. Well, this all looks splendidly sinister. Not Wakanda. Waste of fucking time. Only one person I need to talk to. Doc Rubes. He's my only... Oh. You must be Noah. Nah, bruh. I don't need a pet. You have to stay here. Don't give me those puppy dog eyes. Uh-oh. Mate, I am not taking you home. See?
So now you have to fight Noah, the other quote-unquote immune guy that they were testing before you, which, again, it was a pretty fun boss fight. And then...
Please. No. Not this.
Just stay interested.
Tisha.
Dawn, I'm here. Check the blood drive. Goodness, Tisha. All that Krav Maga paid off. Come on. I know you're in. Hello again.
I ate someone, and now I'm shiny?
Kind of freaky, huh? You hit rock bottom. You bounced hard. You're gonna feel that one for a while.
Living for the drama, I see. Look, we got others to cover.
I know. But rebirth is never easy. We all needed help through this one. We are rare. Precious.
What's inside me? What am I?
We are. Well. Reuben calls us Newman. We are the end point. Humanity distilled. I'm sorry. I had to push you hard. There is some cataclysm level shit coming down the line. It won't wait. And it's not kind. Only Newman, like us, can carry humanity through it.
But the plague? Doc Rubes is gonna find a cure and kill it, right?
There is no plague. Reuben, he was a good man once, but now he is blinded by desperation. He's not making a cure.
No, hold on.
He's not making a cure because he can't. No one can. Humans. The autophage. Newman. It's an immense life cycle. A survival mechanism spanning countless eons. And we are the Omega point.
No, this isn't my story. I'm getting out of here, out of LA.
Well, you are in deep denial. And you've had my 2 cents, so go and ask Reuben his. But whatever conclusion you come to, remember.
Okay, wow. This cutscene was actually kind of crazy. So apparently there are people who are like half zombies, half humans, and apparently these people are like the best form of humanity. Like, I guess, and our character is basically like a part of it. So we aren't actually immune. We are basically like the Nephilim, and I feel like we decided, and I feel like that's basically what our character is. And we decided to go to Dr. Reese to talk to him about this.
Breaths, fella.
It's all in there. Ruben, Shatlin, whatever the fuck that is, and your name. Over and over. You all started the outbreak.
You're wrong.
You're fucking psycho!
Jimmy, he said my blood was the cure. Bruv, I'm not your enemy. I just wanted out of this LA, like all of us.
He killed my city. Should have put a bullet in him.
Jimmy, sit down. How are we gonna know where he's gone?
I know where he's gone. He's flown to some lab on Hollywood Boulevard.
Jimmy!
What?
Everyone's freaking out. We need you out here.
All right. In a minute. What should I tell him?
Jimmy, you've captivated audiences through 9 seasons of lowbrow detective TV.
Yeah. June, Montana. 9 seasons on the badge. 9 fucking seasons! Hey! Shut your holes, you bitches! Jimmy Montana's in charge now!
Right, change of plan. Escape is everything. Emma Jones. Emma, it's Jacob. You copy?
Hello? Did your doctor get you out?
No, is the short and depressing answer. New plan. I know where there's a helicopter. And I know a pilot. Huge fan of your work. You need to persuade him to fly us.
Persuade him to... Hey, if you think I'm gonna fuck some creep so you can fly out of here...
Is that a fair assessment of our relationship? You just need to talk a nice, agoraphobic hermit into flying us out of LA.
Oh, that's splendid. We'd have more chance on a magic carpet.
I bet they're already recasting God Spider. You are tragically missing, after all.
Bet they are the wankers. Okay, I'll meet him. But no promises.
The sewer outfall, near your house. Bring Sam. Prepare for trouble.
Can't wait.
So we have to go back to Bel Air where the game started, and we have to go inside the sewers to meet Sam B and Emma at Patton's place because he is actually he actually has some use, and you convince him to get you guys out. So you get separated by the doors closing on you, and you have to find another way around. And while I was enjoying this part of the game and was actually having fun, it was ruined immediately by having me do this pipe puzzle. Like seriously, why do this? You were doing so good, Dead Island 2. Like I literally couldn't figure out how to get rid of the fire right here, so I basically just let myself die and ran into the fire to equalize the pipes. Man, I hate these. Also, while I praised the boss fight against that Noah dude, yeah, these zombies got annoying extremely quickly, and I wish they just kept it as a one-time boss. I was having fun Dead Island 2. Why don't you like me having fun? So you find Emma and Sam B again, but you can't get to them, so you keep running through the metro trying to catch up. Now, where I started liking the game in the Ocean Avenue, I started hating this game again while in the metro. This area was not fun to be in, and constantly got annoyed at the puzzles you had to do or the zombies that would show up and that you would have to fight. You have to hold your position again while waiting for a train to power up, which I like defend your area segments in games, but my god, this game just went overboard with them to the point that I got bored and tired of doing defending your segments, like defending your area segments. But you get on the train and go to Hollywood Boulevard and meet up with Emma and Sam B, and man, this game really wants to know where Jamal is and keeps telling me to find him. I hope Jamal's okay. I didn't go look for him. So we make it to the helicopter, and now Sam B isn't feeling well, and I straight up almost turned the game off thinking that they were going to kill off Sam B. I already didn't like what they did to him in this game, but now killing him off, like how dare they? But I decided to keep going and finish the game. So you explore Hollywood Boulevard and find a secret door behind a bookcase, and you go find Dr. Reed.
Rubes! Rubin! Doctor, whatever the fuck.
Wait! You don't understand!
Oh, not a fucking zombie!
What are you then?
Yeah, Rubes. Tell her. What am I? You killed a whole city.
Dad? What did you do? What did you do?
I killed millions to save billions.
Tell me, why? Why the actual fuck?
Because you were so rare. Only 1 in a million becomes a Newman, an autophage hybrid. I couldn't complete the cure without you.
The cure's worse than the disease.
No. The autophage isn't an illness, all right? 25 years ago, I found a clock hidden in our DNA, counting down to the day of our extinction. When the clock hits 0, the autophage will erupt in every man, woman, and child on Earth. I had to stop it.
It's in everybody?
Yeah, we weren't built to last. Take that. Conrad thinks the autophage exists to create the Newman, but your anomaly's the best. Puppets at worst.
No, we're more than that. Joined.
Joined by what? What does it want? Either Lola is blind to it or... I can only spare a few drops, but it'll neutralize the autophage, make you human again. All right? Now just go! Go! I can't hold on much longer!
No! Use it on yourself!
Sweetheart, you don't know what else I did. I modified an unborn baby. With the Newman blood, she becomes the cure. To be harvested every day for the rest of her life. I've taken everything from you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Get her out. Get her out of LA.
Wait, I've seen this before. Go, now.
Don't touch me.
He's not your dad anymore. We go now. Run! Get out of here!
Alright, so now we have to fight Dr. Reed, and this is just a copy-paste of the other boss battle, and I fucking hated this boss so much. And honestly, I think we need to get back to not every game needing to have a boss battle in it. Like, I'm really getting tired of these games having boss battles that don't need them. But hey, we have a cure. Like, maybe we can use the cure on Sam B once we get back to him. So after we defeat Dr. Reed, we rush back to the helicopter, and maybe after we kill Sam, we can go after those 3 other characters who are also Newmans and stop them and...
Some reason, I'm starving. Got any of that pastrami?
Perfect. Hey. We gotta get going.
You. Not me. Tisha. She's the cure. The only hope. I have to find her.
Here. Go save the world.
I'd prefer your jacket.
Thank you. We won't waste this.
Good luck.
Just think it. And it's done.
Cadenza?
The song is incoherent.
Decided to stay with us?
To help Tisha.
That the only reason?
Wait, that's how this game ends? I couldn't believe my eyes when the game showed that this was the ending. This wasn't a satisfying ending, and it's very clearly trying to set up a Dead Island 3, and if that game ever comes out, but with how long this game was, like, with how long this game took to be made, and really just how this game was, I'm not looking forward to Dead Island 3. But hey, at least Emma was able to get out. That's more than can be said about Cinemoy, who is probably still on Banoi waiting for help to get off that island. Poor Cinemoy. So yeah, I did not like this game. In fact, I think it's fair to say that I hated this game. However, there was some good things about it. There's things about this game I did like, especially the Ocean Avenue section and that clown boss battle. Also, the story, even with my issues with it, it wasn't that bad. I actually kind of liked the story in this game. I feel like it is maybe a little bit better than the story in Dead Island 1. But honestly, like the story in the original Dead Island was basically just about trying to survive. And it wasn't really until you got to the jungle that you actually made a cure from your body. Like a cure from your blood. So this game did have a better story, but only by a little bit, in my opinion. Honestly, I think if this game had a more serious tone and did itself more like Dead Island 1, I probably would have enjoyed this game more. Now, I am not saying I don't like when games are silly, or like that, I don't like when games are silly or like joke around, but I do prefer them taking themselves seriously. I feel like too many things nowadays, they do the MCU style humor where every few seconds there has to be a joke, or characters have to be in on how ridiculous something is. And to me, it just ruins it. It ruins the game, the movie, it ruins my immersion into it. Throughout this game, like, there are constant jokes that the game was trying to tell, and it took me out of it. It took me out of being immersed in the world. Most of the jokes weren't funny, so I ended up rolling my eyes most of the time. And it felt like the developers decided just to have the characters say jokes over and over because, young people nowadays, they have like very short attention spans, so we just need to just say jokes over and over and over again so as they keep paying attention, and it's just ruined the whole game to me. But even emotional moments like Ronnie's death or even Michael's death, they ended up being ruined because of it. Now, Dead Island 1 didn't really do a great job with major characters' deaths, but there was an effort at least to, make it sad, make it so where you soak up the scene and soak up the moment. However, in this game, the characters die and immediately they are cracking jokes again. There are some games like Dead Rising where I think this works, but not for a franchise like Dead Island. And as a fan of the original, I am pretty disappointed. And the thing is, the original Dead Island did have some humor in it. Like having a sign that says, "Coming to theaters this fall, love." Or having a man say that the reason a helicopter crashed was because it wasn't a Russian helicopter. You can have funny jokes that are actually funny, and I feel like when games or any form of entertainment takes itself more seriously, these jokes can actually get more of a laugh than a game trying to tell jokes every few seconds, hoping you laugh at least. Hoping you laugh just at one of them, and I feel like this is a lot easier to mess up. I'm sorry I'm messing up talking right now. I'm very tired of talking. This is a long video. Also, I didn't really mention it throughout the video, but this game does have some bugs, but me personally, I didn't really care because the original Dead Island had bugs as well, so to me, it's whatever. Besides the bugs in this game, they got a laugh out of me, so I don't mind. But honestly, why did I decide to make this? Like hell, I originally wasn't going to. Like literally the first time I stopped playing this game, but then I decided to make this video anyway. Honestly, it was because I feel like this game, whether I like it or not, whether I like it or not, or whether like people think whether I think it's a good game or not, this game was going to introduce them to Dead Island and to the original Dead Island, a game that I love a lot. I feel like this game didn't really do a good job of showing what Dead Island as a franchise is, even though, people on the internet would say that Dead Island is just a game about whacking the heads off zombies. To me, it's more than that. It shows the horror and sorrow of the zombie apocalypse. It shows the effects that, the zombie apocalypse would have on people and how dangerous one would be. Dead Island 2, on the other hand, felt like they just listened to all the people who missed the point of the first game, and because the first game didn't have long cutscenes and long emotional moments, and just put in the MCU style humor where you joke around every few seconds, and to the point it doesn't feel like the same franchise. And, no matter my feelings on this game, I felt like this game was going to introduce people to Dead Island. And I felt like this game just didn't do a good enough job. I didn't think it did. I don't think it did a good enough job introducing new people to Dead Island and really showing that, hey, yeah, Dead Island is not this jokey, fun tone that Dead Island 2 had. If you enjoyed or loved this game, that's great. I would love to hear your opinion about this game, about why you liked it. But for me, this game wasn't worth the wait. It wasn't worth the $70, and I don't know if I'm ever going to play it again. That's just me.